Session for the 31st Guam Youth Congress is hereby called to order. Can we have the prayer?
In the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Almighty God, we ask for your guidance and blessing throughout our session. We ask that you give us enlightenment in our minds and strength in our words. We ask you to keep us strong and to lead the people of this island. In your name, amen.
Amen. Representative Chan.
Oh, say,
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight were the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Representative Makepeace.
Thanohi Jamol.
May I please get roll call?
Representative Attaway. Representative Angara. Representative Carranza. Representative Casilla. Representative Chan. Representative Delory. Representative Zaharin. Richards. Present. Representative Rigetti. Present. Representative Rosario. Representative Santos.
Present.
Representative Stiles. Present. Representative Valencia. Present. Mr. Speaker, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Mm. Call for approval of the journal. Could I have Representative Valencia?
Mr. Speaker, I move to waive the call for the approval of the journal.
There's been a motion to waive the call for the approval of the journal. Is there anyone opposed? Seeing as there are none, motion carries. Communications and petitions, there are none. Messages from Imagalahan Guahan, there are none. Reports of standing committees. Would any standing committees like to make a report? Seeing as there are none, we'll move on to report of select committees. Would any select committee like to make a report? Seeing as there are none, we shall move on to introduction and first reading of bills and resolutions.
Bill number 6-31, as amended by the Committee on Public and Municipal Affairs, introduced by Vice Speaker Keandre McDonald. An act to add a new section 3403.1 of Chapter 3, Title 16 of the Guam Code Annotated, and to amend Section 70.41A of Chapter 70, Title 9 of the Guam Code Annotated, relative to the installation, maintenance, and use of parking meters in populated areas to generate income for the maintenance, safety, and beautification of our island. Bill number 07-31, as amended by the Committee on Administration and General Government Operations, introduced by Speaker Javen Santos. An act to add a new Article 7 to Chapter 26, Title 11, Guam Code Annotated, relative to creating a tax on motor vehicles that shall fund efforts to reducing Guam's carbon footprint. Bill number 08-31, as amended by the Committee on Public and Municipal Affairs, introduced by Vice Speaker Keandre McDonald and Speaker Javen Santos. An act to amend Section 90105A of Chapter 90, Title 10 of the Guam Code Annotated, relative to the prohibition of smoking in any property that is deemed a park by the Guam Department of Arts and Recreation. Bill number 09-31, as amended by the Committee on Environmental and Chamorro Affairs, introduced by Vice Speaker Keandre McDonald. An act to add new sections 34206.1, 34206.2, and 34206.3 to Chapter 34, Title 10 of the Guam Code Annotated, relative to regulating and prohibiting the ownership and keeping of invasive species on our island. Bill number 10-31, introduced by Representative Christian Valencia, Representative Jacob Richards, Representative Gio Rigetti, Representative Joanna B. Carranza, Representative Coleto Bejarin, Representative Matthew Makepeace, Representative Aldrich Labang, Representative Lorenzo, Speaker Javen Santos, Representative Torian A. Stiles. An act to amend Section 40125 of Article 1, Chapter 40, Title 5, Guam Code Annotated, relative to including youth members in municipal planning council memberships. Resolution number 02-31, introduced by Speaker Javen Santos, relative to requesting the Superintendent of the Guam Department of Education and the Guam Board of Education to hold a meeting for the Island-wide Board of Governing Students, IBOGS.
Thank you. Let's move on to motions. Are there any motions? Representative Valencia?
Mr. Speaker, I move that the body resolve into the Committee of the Whole in order to swear in our new members.
There has been a motion to move into the Committee of the Whole. Are there any objections? Seeing as there are none, motion carries. We're now in the Committee of the Whole. I've got it. You guys are cool just repeating after me? Yeah, do you guys want to stand up and go to the mic so we can get it in for... Yeah, I will. All right, guys, repeat after me. And raise your right hand. Okay. I solemnly swear
I solemnly swear
in the presence of Almighty God
in the presence of Almighty God
that I will well and faithfully
that I will well and faithfully
support the Constitution
support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
the laws of the United States
the laws of the United States
applicable to Guam,
applicable to Guam,
and the laws of Guam,
and the laws of Guam,
and that I will conscientiously
and that I will conscientiously
and impartially
discharge my duties
as a representative of the Guam Youth Congress.
as a representative of the Guam Youth Congress.
So help you God.
So help me God.
All right, everyone, welcome our new representatives. Representative how do you pronounce your last name? Davin? Representative Felisan and Representative Dichoso. All right. Seeing as we've sworn in our new representatives, could I get a motion to rise out of the committee of the whole? Representative Valencia.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we rise out of the committee on whole and that Representatives Felician and Dichoso's names be reflected in the first roll call, as well as Representative Farron.
All right. All right. Can we get? Does anyone oppose the motion to rise out of committee of the whole? Seeing as there are none, motion carries. Does anyone oppose the motion to reflect Representative Felician, Representative Dichoso, and Representative Farron in first roll call? Seeing as there are none, motion carries. Could I have Representative McDonald take the chair?
Representative Santos?
Madam Chair, I move to move Bill 7-31 to the second reading file.
Are there any objections? Okay, then we moved it to the second reading file. Okay.
All right. Representatives, I have introduced Bill 7-31 because I am very passionate about keeping the environment safe. And one of the most susceptible, or one of the most dangers nowadays to the environment is climate change. And climate change comes from a numerous of sources, but one of the most obvious and one of the most obvious is cars. And cars don't only just hurt the environment, cars have a lot of impact on our day-to-day lives as well. Cars, as you guys can see driving in Guam, the traffic is really bad. And we're such a small island, and there's so many cars on Guam. It's a little bit surprising. I do have some statistics with me relative to the cars that we have on Guam and I will use these statistics to show that the number of cars on island can be reduced, and reducing the cars on Guam will help our island. So the statistics that I have is according to a 2013 study done by the World Factbook, Guam is the 11th highest in cars per capita, and that's per 1,000 people. Per 1,000 people in a 2013 study, there are 703 cars per person on island, or 703 cars per 1,000 people on island. Sorry, guys. So 703 cars per 1,000 people on island. That includes every man, woman, child, baby, and that is a lot of cars to be had on Guam. I don't know if you guys have seen any babies driving cars on Guam, but it just shows that the amount of cars on Guam is huge, and it causes so many problems, from traffic to the roads needing constant repair. And all of these repairs cost the government money, and I really wanted to work towards not only preventing climate change, but by fixing all the problems that cars have on our island. So the car tax has been intended for me to create funds from the purchase of cars. And the purchase of cars, and the tax that goes from the purchase of cars will be taxed 2%, and it will increase every year. So that way we can find a middle ground, something that works for our island. And the funds that come from this car tax will go to fund a variety of things. One of the highlights that were made by the committee is that we wanted this car tax not only to fund the mass transit, but to also go to our public schools, because the public school busing system is really, it's not great. It's really hard to go into a bus that's made for 40 people and having a busing district that has 60 people. You're cramped into a bus. People are sitting on top of each other. People are laying over in the bus, and we really want to create an avenue for funds to come in to help, as well as possibly creating the revenue so that these buses can go from burning fossil fuels to at the very least burning fossil fuels more efficiently. I see this car tax as something experimental. It's something small it's something that I hope can be a trial for our island and see how it impacts our island, because climate change and the danger and the impact of cars on our island is huge. And by taxing these cars, hopefully we can get less cars off our island. But if people were to still buy their cars, we can know that the purchase of these cars can go towards funding important things like the mass transit, the air pollution special control fund, and the busing system on Guam. So that's why I introduced this bill, and that's why I hope you guys would consider voting for this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker Santos. Does anyone want to make a testimony? No? Okay. Is there any motions? I believe there was an amendment that was supposed to be made.
Yeah, all right. I can make the amendment. During the Committee on Rules meeting, it was brought to the attention that in Bill 7. In the Committee on Rules meeting, it was brought to the attention of all the chair people that one of the stipulations on page 3, line 18, people had suggested to not raise the rate by 2% and instead raise the rate by 1%, so that way there's more time and there's more time to see what the impact of this tax will have on the car sales industry and on the people of Guam. So I guess I can make a motion to amend page 3, line 18 to read the above tax shall increase at a rate of 1% on the.
Are there any objections? No? Okay. The amendment has been made.
We need to do a vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, we can speak on the amendment. Does anyone want to
Yes.
speak?
Is there anyone want to speak on this amendment? No? Okay. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Okay. All opposed, say nay. Okay, this amendment has been added to Bill 7. Okay. I now call Representative Lorenzo up to the chair. Oh, I'm so sorry. Anyone want to make a motion to move the bill into the voting file?
I can make. Yeah.
Oh, Representative Richards.
Not a testimony, but just a quick question, Madam Chair, if I may address Representative Santos.
Representative Santos?
Just on page 3, line 23, I believe, it says that government vehicles will be exempt. I know it says including but not limited to, but are we going to include all government official vehicles?
Yes.
Or is that's all?
All government official
Okay.
vehicles, yes.
Just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
I just want to clarify that Speaker Santos did yield to the question. Are there any more questions that anyone wants to make? No? Okay, now we can move to close the discussion on the bill. Representative Santos?
I guess the reason why I'd written this bill is because climate change and public transport are two really important things that I want to kind of move forward with in terms of legislation. Public transport is really important to the youth of Guam in particular because public transport can greatly assist those who can't afford to own a car, but they're still able to get around. And Guam's public transport is in dire need of any support it can get. And I've written this bill so that way public transport to help the youth of Guam can be funded and even more encouraged. And in terms of climate change, islands in general are so much more susceptible to climate change. Climate change hurts the coral in our coral reef, which protects our island. Climate change hurts the ecosystem of our island, and that ecosystem hurts the fish that we catch. It hurts our tourism industry, and we want to do all that we can to prevent this from happening and prevent climate change from hurting our island more. I know a lot of you guys might think that Guam is a small island, so this small island can't really make a difference in terms of cutting the climate change on the entire planet. But if we set the precedent of doing something like this, hopefully other people can see that climate change and the effect fossil fuels have on our planet is something that we shouldn't take lightly anymore. And I do hope that all of you guys vote for this bill because these are issues that I find very important to me, and I do hope that all of you guys can see that these issues are something that we need to find a way to fix. We need to find a way to fix these issues, and this is how I saw one way of doing as Youth Congress what we can do to fix these issues for the sake of our island and for the sake of the youth of Guam. Thank you. And with that, I'll move Bill 7-31 to the third reading file.
Are there any objections? No? Okay, we moved the bill to the third reading file. Right. Now I call up Representative Lorenzo up to the chair.
moving on. Bill 8-31, sponsored by Representative Keandra McDonald and Javen Santos. Is there anyone? Oh, Representative Keandra McDonald. Oh, I'm sorry. Make a motion to move Bill 8-31 to second reading file. Has there been a motion? Representative Keandra McDonald.
I make the motion to move Bill 8-31 to the second reading file.
Any objections? There are none. Motion carries.
Okay.
Proceed.
So, I made this bill because this is invasive species, I'm sorry. So I made this bill because we, as Chamorros, we use our parks for everything. We use our beaches and our parks, and they have become an icon of what it means to be living on Guam. Walking into a beach or park, the amount of cultural cues and influence that children gain from just celebrating a birthday or a barbecue is so important to how they grew up. But another thing that they learn is when their family smokes in parks. Children, a study made in Concordia University in Oxford said that children who see it become more addicted to it even without touching a cigarette. We are a legislature, the 34th, and the Guam Youth Congress that has made the motions to tackle a huge habit that is horrible for our health. And if we go walk into a park or a beach, it's easy to see all the residue that comes from the cigarettes, the lighters, the boxes. People don't throw away their stuff. So why would a child think it's horrible when they see it in their everyday lives? What makes them think that, oh, I can't smoke because it's bad when I see my uncles or my cousins do it, or I see it littered all around? This is why I think it's important that we have to tackle this from the beginning. A place where children learn what it is to be a Chamorro, going to a fiesta or going to a barbecue. So I hope that you guys really think about this bill, because it is very important to our youth and to our future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative McDonald. Speaker Santos.
As a sponsor, you guys can tell that I support this bill already. But I feel that what this bill tries to acknowledge and what this bill tries to tackle is that we need to keep in mind on our island that family values are something that we shouldn't take lightly. And family values should not include the ingestion of drugs that will shorten and potentially kill you. This is not responsible behavior, and this is not something that we want to encourage for our families. And the main sponsor, Keandra, her intention was very pure. She really wants to see that more families and more children acknowledge that smoking is bad for you and that smoking should not be encouraged. It is, when you see the cigarette butts on the ground in the parks and when you see all this debris like Representative McDonald had mentioned, it becomes normal. It's normal for me to see cigarette butts on the ground, and it shouldn't be, because that's something that doesn't only affect one person. It affects the entire family, and it does affect everybody who's seeing it happen, who's inhaling the secondhand smoke, and at the very least, the parks themselves are one of the most family, or one of the most, if not the most, family-oriented place under the government of Guam. This is where children go to play. This is where socializing happens. And if we can protect our children from smoking and from the effects of tobacco in the public parks, I think we can make our island healthier, and we can make our island safer for the next generation of youth. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker Santos. Is there anyone else that would like to speak for or against this bill? Representative Valencia?
Madam Chair, I just have a few concerns with regards to this bill. I'd like to direct everyone's attention to the first page, lines 7 to 11.
Okay.
Now, the intent of this bill, it says that there are many reasons for this bill. One, to help reduce the damage to the environment by eliminating waste that is a byproduct of tobacco, and to reduce the amount of influence on children whose family members, mentors, or guardians smoke, and to reduce secondhand consumption. I'd just like to maybe break that down for just a little bit. To help reduce the damage to the environment by eliminating waste that is a byproduct of tobacco, I don't see how this bill would do that. If we are to reduce the damage to the environment, I think with this bill, I think we're missing the point. I think we are, if we want to really reduce damage to the environment, I think we have to look at the bigger picture and see what really causes damage in these parks. I mean, there are much bigger trash, like cans, plastic bags, even big furniture that are there. And I think if we want to reduce the damage to the environment, I think we maybe should raise the littering fines so that we reduce the damage to the environment. Also, with regards to the influence on children whose family members, mentors, or guardians smoke, and to reduce secondhand consumption. If we look at what this bill, if we look at the law that this bill is amending, we already see 1 to 13 or 12 places that smoking is not allowed. And I think, and also the reason why smoking isn't allowed in these places is because, one, they're enclosed. So I think if we want to really, as the primary sponsor said in the beginning, if we want to tackle this from the beginning, I think we should really look at the root of the problem. If we want to uphold family values, let's ban smoking altogether, across the board. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak for or against this matter? Okay. At this time, I would like to call Keandra Vinado to make her closing. Oh, I'm sorry. Representative Casilla, you're recognized.
Just in response to Representative Valencia's statement, I think that, or for me, it was more. It was clear that the intentions of this bill was more for the children, right? It was more. It was a side reason to. The environment was kind of like something on something on the side. That's just a pushing factor for this, and so I don't see that it's a problem. I don't think it's a problem to say that this bill is going to I think this bill will help the environment, even though you did make a good point that it's not gonna attack the root of the problem. But cigarette butts do have cigarette butts do compose a large amount of waste collected when we do coastal cleanups. It's one of the things that we found when in the data we find most often, and if even though it's not the root, I think it's still this bill will help combat that problem. And there was a good point you also mentioned about there are already places that are where smoking is banned because it's enclosed, whereas public parks are not, where it's free flowing air. But we need to I think we need to take into account the family aspect too. Even though these places aren't enclosed, there are specific spots where people smoke, and that's where usually people gather. So if, for example, your uncle is going to smoke, he's not going to go to the jungle and smoke. He's going to smoke near where the party's at, where the children's at, and that's why that's another point I'd like to just make. Yeah.
Thank you, Representative Casilla. Representative Stiles. Anyone?
Hello.
There you go.
Okay, so I'd just like to address a couple of concerns. While I acknowledge the intent of this bill seems positive, and while I agree with the intent behind it, I think it's important to acknowledge what it serves to do potentially in the grand scheme. As Representative Valencia mentioned earlier, the common trait of all the previous locations in which smoking was banned, or is banned currently, happen to be enclosed. And so by amending the law to include parks in this legislation, I think it's important to consider what the trajectory might be. What I mean by that is, by banning smoking in an unenclosed public space, are we being unwarrantedly exclusionary, in a sense? Are we infringing upon the rights of? Are we alienating a large portion of those who may otherwise freely and happily enjoy spaces that are supposed to be open to the public? Are we? Would this represent some kind of watershed moment? What I mean is our intent to ban smoking altogether, and what are the implications of that? Because if we're willing to go so far as to ban smoking in an unenclosed public space, it seems as though the jump from banning smoking in a public space to banning smoking altogether is a relatively insignificant one. And I think it's important to consider and to ask ourselves if that's what we actually want to do, because then, we really are infringing upon what a large portion of the Guam population consider to be their prerogative. And I'm not saying that banning smoking should or shouldn't occur, but I think it's important to take that into consideration when considering the bill as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Stiles. Representative Plus?
Hello, everyone. As Christian mentioned about the bill that he talked about, the one he mentioned about is the smoking, the what do they call it, the cigarette butt or something, or because we all should clean up for that, because most people around here, they should have some respect to just pick it up, because just that they just once they smoke, they shouldn't drop it down, so like they should pick it up and start throwing them away. But like I recommend that like we all should have this this organization that, as they call it, the Beautification Task Force. They usually pick up some trash around this area, and we should start doing this as we inform all of our friends here that willing to help to clean out the community and the beach, but yeah, we all should support, and just help reach out the people that wants to clean out also, or if they usually clean, they get paid. They get paid a lot. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Plus. Representative Quintanilla? Quintanilla. I cannot pronounce everything.
Madam Speaker, I would like to yield my time to Representative Santos.
I just like to take a moment to talk about the concerns that everybody had with the bill so far. I understand that there's a huge distinction between all the other aspects of the bill and the leap that we made by including parks. But what we're really trying to tackle here is preventing smoking in whatever way that we see as feasible. Now, ideally, it would be nice if preventing smoking altogether would be something that it seems that would be feasible. It would be nice to say that in a perfect world, smoking is prohibited and smoking would never happen again. But we can't do that in this. We can't do that because that's not the kind of world we live in. But just because we don't live in a world where that can happen, it doesn't mean that preventing smoking in such a safe, or supposedly safe, family-oriented place like a park, it doesn't mean that can't happen, because parks are for the children, and we do acknowledge that it is an open space, and that distinction between everything else should be recognized. But the reason why we add this to all the other parts about enclosed spaces is because it goes along with the same, it goes along with a similar intent, which is to protect people and to especially protect children from the impacts of smoking. We've amended the Natasha Protection Act, and the Natasha Protection Act has originally came to be because a little girl who was very, very sick was not able to be a part of the world, or just be out in public, and just she wasn't able to be around other people because at that time Guam was so ravenously involved in smoking, that the secondhand that her illness prevented her from being anywhere in any of these places because of the potential of secondhand smoke affecting her lungs. And by adding public parks, a place for families and a place for children to play, to keep the children safe, we can hope that little girls like Natasha don't have to feel like they can't be in a public park, be in a place where, and they can go to a public park knowing that they are safe and knowing that they wouldn't necessarily have to be impacted by not only the physical effects of smoking, but the social impact that seeing smoking and seeing and the normalization of smoking can have on a young child's mind. And I really urge all of you to recognize that this is an issue, and that hopefully you guys will see that this bill is a way to prevent that issue from happening any further. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker Santos. Is there anyone else that like to speak for or against this matter? Representative Rigetti?
I just have a couple things to say. First, banning smoking in public places and parks has been effectively executed in the mainland states, and the move to an outright smoking ban is not apparent. That means basically that what Representative Stiles was saying was that maybe that this will lead towards an outright smoking ban, but that has not been shown to happen. Furthermore, addiction is not a prerogative. I think that's my stance. Also, while smokers deserve to enjoy the liberty of the outdoors, non-smokers also have equal rights to enjoy the liberty of a smoke-free environment. And it should not be natural to become accustomed to hundreds and hundreds of cigarette butts in and around public places and nature specifically. And for that reason, I ask for you to support this bill.
Thank you, Representative Rigetti. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak for or against this matter? Representative Chan?
I am for this bill, but I just have one thing to suggest if you want to reduce the amount of smokers on Guam, and it's to increase the tax that we have on cigarettes. Right now, Guam only has $1 per pack for tax, and compared to New York, New York and Chicago have the highest. New York is $5.85 per pack, so that's like increased with the amount of 5.85 is the tax over the pack of cigarette itself. So you have to think about how much that would be if people would actually pay for that. I believe that with the increase of the amount on cigarettes, less people would buy it, especially on Guam. Like, that's so expensive because we don't really have a tax on sales, so people won't see it as a good idea to buy cigarettes. And yes, that's all.
Thank you, Representative Chan. Is there anyone else that like to speak for or against this matter? Representative Faharin?
I just want to say that if you guys are looking to like ban smoking altogether, I think this is one of the steps that you should. I do see the whole point of this bill is to reduce the amount of secondhand smoking and to try to limit smoking to the children in general. And I do acknowledge that. So I just say I support this bill because of that, because it's for the children and to limit their influence on smoking. Thanks.
Thank you, Representative Faharin. Is there anyone else that would like to speak for or against this matter? There are none. Representative Candace McDonald, would you like to make your closing statement?
I want to say thank you for can Can I do my
Yes.
closing statement now? Okay.
You may proceed.
I want to say thank you for everyone who has brought their attention to this bill, including those who have their concerns and those who have testified against it. But in the beginning of this legislature, during Bill 03-31, introduced by Representative Rigetti, I said that this wasn't going to be easy. It would take a lot of regulating to tackle this giant. But why not start? Why not us? As representatives for the youth, why shouldn't we take this step to protect them, to protect us? Sadly, we can't expect everyone to be angels. The environment won't be cured with taking residue out of parks and beaches, but it is a step. We can't expect people to say, oh, I'm not going to smoke here because my kid is here. We can't expect that. It happens, sadly. Like I said earlier, you cannot take down a giant with one hit, but with many. A parent, guardian, or family member should keep this in mind when they smoke, that their children will be influenced whether they like it or not. We should take this step because we are representing the youth. We are the youth. We're protecting each other. And yes, this won't cure environmental damages, but it will help in the long run. So again, thank you for everyone for supporting and testifying against this bill and bringing up your concerns. But in order to maybe one day make a ban against smoking, we need to make a ban. We need to band together to protect our youth because they're the ones in the future that will ban smoking. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Speaker Santos.
Just point of information, Representative Makepeace did find out that the tax on tobacco in Guam is $3 and not $1. Okay, you can move the bill now.
Thank you. Representative County McDonald.
I make a motion to move this bill to the third reading file.
There's been a motion to move Bill 8-31 to the third reading file. Right? Are there any objections at this time? There are none. Motion carries. Speaker Santos, please resume the chair. Thank you.
Are there any other motions?
I make a motion for Bill 9 to be in the second reading file.
All right, there's been a motion to move Bill 9-31 to the second reading file. Does anyone oppose? Motion carries. Representative McDonald, you can make your opening statement.
So, as we all know, that invasive species are not good for any environment anywhere. This bill will keep people from having them as pets and encourage people to either kill them or turn them into the university or Department of Agriculture for study. Someone asked me what the intent of this bill was, and that's exactly what it is. Invasive species should not be welcomed in any way or any form. They should immediately be destroyed because they are destroying our environment faster than we can even think. I read on a recent study in the Guampedia and on KUAM that brown tree snakes and the rhino beetles are helping each other. What the heck, guys? What is that? They're helping each other to thrive on an island where they don't even belong. How has this not been addressed already? I got this bill from a documentary that I watched on Florida about their pythons. And Florida is a huge ecosystem, but this one species has destroyed it beyond what they can even imagine, and it's becoming so hard to even think of legislation to destroy it with. But luckily for us, they have too much regulation on their environmental species or their invasive species. We don't. We get to start from scratch. So here's the first bill of many, hopefully to come, that will get these things out of here. Because if you look around, I remember when I first came back from the States, I was there for 3.5 years, and I remember when I came back and I almost started crying because I didn't know what happened to our trees. They weren't like that when I left. And now they don't even look recognizable as what I grew up seeing. So it really hit home about invasive species. And it continues to hit home when I don't see anything being done about it. Yes, there was people who parachuted rats from a plane, but that's not as effective as it should be. There should be a lot more. It should be a rapid fire of bills, and it's not happening. So thank you.
Just a point of information, the study says that because the brown tree snakes have decreased the native bird population, the rhino beetles are able to thrive more. So it's not like they're a gang or something. All right, would anyone else like to make a testimony? Representative Stiles.
Well, I don't think anyone in this room will deny that brown tree snakes and the rhino beetles are an epidemic on this island. I'm not sure what the effect of imposing negative sanctions on private citizens will be in reducing their abundance. I don't see necessarily how people's having rhino beetles or brown tree snakes on their premises can be any kind of acute amplification of the problem. And so I don't really see what the overall effect would be of passing this bill, other than scaring people, maybe. I don't know, because how many people have rhino beetles just on their premises without their knowledge? And even if the legislation explicitly states that the ownership is necessary to justify to justify search and seizure, I mean, it's kind of like a loophole, because if you go into anyone's house, you're relatively likely to find rhino beetles, and so I just don't see how or why what necessarily the effect would be of passing this bill in the overall grand scheme of things. Again, other than I said, just scaring people, because I'm pretty sure most people have had both rhino beetles and brown tree snakes on their premises at the time, without their knowledge. And if for whatever reason a person, say for example, a person is searched under warrant for whatever reason by a police organization, and rhino beetles are found on the premises. Now, whether or not that person was carrying those rhino beetles, he could ostensibly be fined under the stipulations as presented in this bill. So I just don't see how it would have any kind of real positive effect, other than maybe people being not unlawfully, but perhaps unjustifiably sanctioned for things that may or may not be beyond their control. Thanks.
Representative Lorenzo.
I would just like to ask a general question. Line 20, page 2. Any person found and charged with ownership and possession of brown tree snakes? Just the general question. Do people own brown tree snakes as pets? I mean,
Oh,
there. I'm asking. Okay. I just wanted to ask that because I was very. I didn't know that we own brown tree snakes as pets. But okay, thank you.
Representative Valencia.
I'd just like to pose a question to the primary sponsor.
All right. Representative McDonald, would you yield?
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask her if what prompted her to write the bill? Or what was the reasoning behind the bill?
Like I stated in my opening statement, the reason behind my bill was the fact that when I came home, I saw the damage that was being done after three and a half years of living off island, and now I have the chance to actually do something about it. I started to do my research, and my research ended up with me watching a documentary about pythons in Florida and the devastating effect that they have. So that was what prompted me to write this bill.
With regards to her research, I'd like to ask if she has found any reports of people owning these invasive species as pets.
I have not actually done that part of the research, but the reason why I did do this is my intent is not to make it a negative bill. My intent is to encourage people to turn them in. And if you look at Chapter 34, Title 10, a pet means any animal kept for pleasure rather than utility. So an animal has to be in an enclosed space, actually fed and stuff, which would be count as a pet instead of it just being in the environment around the house. But if it is in the environment around the house, people will then be spurred to call in the Department of Agriculture or anyone to take that away from them, or spurred to kill it.
Mr. Speaker, earlier she stated that we're encouraging people to turn them in. If we're encouraging people to turn them in, then why are we fining them $25 and $100?
Representative McDonald.
Because they shouldn't even, if there is an event where they are keeping them, they shouldn't even be keeping them. It's ridiculous to me, because why would you keep something that's damaging our environment?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Representative Kenny McDonald.
Good morning, everyone. I would just like to speak in favor of this bill. As Representative Keandra McDonald brought up, the effect of this bill is not to scare people, but to raise awareness to the fact that there are invasive species still on this island, as it is a prevalent issue, and it should be an automatic action for the people of the island to do their part in protecting the island and the ecosystem that will have a lasting effect for the generations to come. So I hope you all realize this and support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Kenny McDonald. Is there anyone else who would like to make a testimony? Seeing as there are none, Representative Keandra McDonald, would you like to make your closing?
Like I stated earlier, Chapter 34, Title 10 says a pet is any animal kept for pleasure rather than utility, and that animal has to be kept for a consecutive of 3 days. So no one is going to go into someone's house and say, oh my God, you have a brown tree snake, I'm going to turn you in. This, like I said, this intent of the bill is to encourage people to get rid of them. It's not punishing them for anything, unless they are, of course, breaking the law by keeping them. And if you look at Section 3C, this section shall be amended as needed for any invasive species on Guam. maybe they don't keep brown tree snakes or rhino beetles, but what if another species comes on that is maybe cute or something, and they do keep it as a pet? Then you cannot do that. That will be illegal. That is the intent of this bill, is to encourage people to turn them in. And we're not going to charge you if you have it, if you turn it in, like, oh my gosh, you have the snake and you're turning it in, I'm going to charge you this amount of money. No, they're going to say, thank you so much, have a nice day. The Department of Agriculture will be the one running this and will be in charge of it. Right, so guys, I know sometimes it seems like it's a negative bill, but the intent really is to keep our island safe from anything else that may come our way, because we are susceptible to millions of species due to planes, boats, people, anything. So, thank you.
Did you want to make the motion?
I make a motion to move this bill into the third reading file.
There's been a motion to move Bill 9-31 into the third reading file. Does anyone oppose? Motion carries. Could I have Representative McDonald take the chair? Oh, Representative Keandra McDonald.
Are there any motions? Representative Santos.
Madam Chair, I would like to move Resolution 2-31 into second reading file.
Are there any objections? Okay, motion carries.
My fellow representatives, Resolution 2-31 comes from an issue that is really dear to me, and I really hope that I can express to you guys that it should be something dear to you as well. The Island-wide Board of Governing Students has, you guys can correct me in the point of information if I'm wrong, but as far as I have been made aware, the Island-wide Board of Governing Students has not had a meeting this whole school year. And that's something that's a huge issue. Us as a voice of the youth need to, we can't just let a similar body with a similar voice in the youth be prevented from letting their voice be heard. I've tried to contact the superintendent, and I've tried to contact the Department of Education about iBogs, because iBogs is a board that was created in the Guam Code annotated by law. And for me personally, the voice of the youth is something that should not be taken lightly. This resolution is to call to everyone's attention that iBogs is something that not only is a voice of the youth, it's something that raises student morale. iBogs also has the potential to organize several events that a lot of students in the Department of Education really enjoy, like the student exchanges. I know I've been reached out to by several students of the public schools asking me, where is iBogs? The student exchange is something that we look forward to every year, and iBogs hasn't met. I really want you guys to I really hope you guys see that the Island-wide Board of Governing Students is a voice of the youth, just as every one of you guys here represent. And as Youth Congress, I really hope that we all can support our fellow youth body to get the meeting, and to get the meeting that they deserve, so that the voice of the youth isn't taken for granted and it can be heard. Everybody, the it's already third quarter, guys, and there's been no iBogs meeting. So I don't know what can happen at this point, but at the very least, I want this issue to be made aware of, and I really would like a response. For me personally, I've contacted, like I said, I contacted them several times, and I've been told the same thing, that, oh, you know, Department of Education is in a bunch of legal trouble now, so we're not prepared. We're spread really thin, but we'll be sure to work on it. And it's just frustrating to me because they, just in the same way we run, they should run too. Because not only do they exist by a public law, but they are a voice of the youth. And I urge all of you to support this, because we should not take lightly the fact that the voice of the youth is being taken lightly. And I hope you all support. Thank you.
Is there anyone that would like to make a testimony? Yes, Representative.
I have a question for Representative Santos.
Representative Santos, would you yield?
Yes.
I was a former iBogs representative for GW, and what we've done when I was a representative was that usually Mr. Robert Malay was the one who schedules the meetings. And so from your knowledge, do you know if in law if there's any delegation on who is supposed to handle, administer iBogs?
The Guam Code Annotated says the superintendent is in charge of the oversight of iBogs.
Okay, that's pretty much it.
Right, thank you.
Yeah. Other than that, I do support this this resolution. I know they have had their problems, but I think just yesterday, problem was solved. I guess. I think he was reinstated. So if that's correct, someone correct me. But I think he was reinstated, and so with this resolution, so it's for more of a push. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to make a testimony? If not, Representative Santos.
I would just like to express to all of you guys that I really take the voice of the youth and the voice that all of you represent as something very important and something to be taken seriously. And I will work as hard as I can to make sure that every voice of the youth is heard and acknowledged, because these bodies exist because people saw that the voice of the youth was important, but times change, leadership changes, and that gets skewed. But the point is that there has been recognition of the voice of the youth, and I really want the voice of the youth to not be taken lightly anymore. And I hope that all of you guys see that you guys are doing an amazing thing for your district that you represent, and we need to make our voices heard, and we need to show everybody that we have something to say once we make sure people are listening. So I hope that you all support this bill, and we'll be sure to work harder to make our voices heard. And with that, I would like to move Resolution 2-30 to the third reading file.
Is there any objections? No. Motion carries. I call Representative Santos up to the chair.
All right, could we can we move on to consideration of the daily file? Can we get the third reading file? Could we get the second roll call? Do you guys just want to make a, okay. Representative Valencia.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the second roll call reflect the first roll call.
There's been a motion to let second roll call reflect first roll call. Is there anyone opposed? Seeing as there are none, motion carries. All right, third reading file. All right. With the vote of 16 ayes, 0 nays, Bill 7-31 passes unanimously. Moving on to Bill 8-31. there's only 16.
Sorry, and then there's 17 last time. There's 17 in the first one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Okay.
I've seen 16.
All right. So with a vote of 14 yeas and 3 nays, Bill 8-31 passes.
Bill number 09-31. Amended by the Committee on Environment, Protection, and Welfare, introduced by Vice Speaker Keandre McDonald, and act to add new
With a vote of 5 yeas and 12 nays, Bill 9-31 hereby does not pass.
Resolution number 02-31, introduced by Speaker David Santos, relative to requesting the superintendent of the Guam Department of Education and Guam Board of Education to vote against the island-wide Board of Governors students, IBOS. Representative Adelaide.
By show of hands, can I get a vote for Resolution 2-31? All those in favor? All right, looks unanimous. Bill, does anyone oppose? All right, Resolution 2-31 hereby passes unanimously. Moving on to brief extension of remarks. Does anyone have anything to say on the matters that we've talked about today?
Mr. Speaker, I'd just like to welcome Representatives Dechoso and Representative Felicen to the Guam Youth Congress. Thank you for taking up the mantle, and thank you for joining us today. Everybody.
Would you like please stand?
Please stand.
Oh,
I just wanted you to stand.
okay. We'll do the pictures when we call, when we adjourn. But yeah, welcome, guys. I hope you guys weren't too overwhelmed by everything that happened, and I hope you guys enjoy your term. Is there anything else for a brief extension of remarks? Representative Casilla?
Okay. Although Bill 9-31 did not pass today, I'd like to say thank you for the effort. I do know, I do understand your the intent of the bill, and so even though this bill didn't pass, I do still encourage maybe another bill trying to address this issue in another way. And yeah, and hope to support those upcoming bills if there's any.
Thank you, Representative Casilla. Is there anyone else who would like to state anything for brief extension of remarks? Representative Richards?
I just wanted to say that I really appreciate the process that we go through as a body. I think that even though Bill 9-31 didn't pass today, I'd like to appreciate the fact that we can all work together as a cohesive body, and maybe, like Representative Casilla said, we can look at tackling this problem from another approach.
Thank you, Representative Richards. Does anyone else like to make a brief extension of remarks? Seeing as there are none, moving on to announcements. Representative Lorenzo.
So today's February 18th, and seeing as you have Guam Youth Congress has 2 Academy representatives. Academy is having their annual Songfest tonight at EOG Cabell Fieldhouse. Please come and support. Thank you.
Oh, it's the field house. Wow.
Okay.
All right, Representative Chan, you have been recognized.
If you do not have a ticket, it's $35 at the door, and she said it's Calvo, or the field house, EOG Field House, and it starts at 4, dinner's at 5, show actually starts around 7. It just depends, but it's $35 at the door.
Oh my God. All right, Representative Valencia.
Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to address the thing that happened last night where everybody just bailed.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, we got a quorum.
I know, but like, not you guys. Any of you are listening. I'd just like to state the rule with regards to attendance for the Guam Youth Congress.
All right, thank you, Christian. Go ahead.
Members who will be unable to attend session must communicate the absence to the chairman of the Committee on Rules at least no later than 2 days before session. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Valencia. Representative Plus.
For there's a meeting going on the lecture hall. Lecture hall is it's a class called they have this class. Wait, I think you're a major in sociology, right? 405, right? Are you in 405? Okay. Yeah, they're having this they're screening a cast film called film called Casting Our Net, Risk Discovering Community in the 21st Century is it's gonna be 15 minutes on the film, but it costs $10 at the door. But yeah, it's gonna be on Tuesday, February 28th, and Wednesday, March 1st. So if you guys come and watch the film, and the time will be starts around 2 to 3 p.m. on at the UOG lecture hall. Thank you.
You, Representative Plus, Representative Farron.
Hi everyone, this is regarding the Select Committee for Community Service. If you guys have any suggestions of what we should do like over the course of our term, please let me know and I will bring it up on the floor. And then we already have something planned for May, right? Is it May?
March.
March. Yeah, March. It's open. No one asked yet.
You've got two new members too. Oh yeah, that's another thing. But
Yeah.
thank you.
Good?
Yeah, good. Yeah, Representative Keandra McDonald.
Okay, there you go. I just want to announce that my family received news today, earlier this morning, that the mayor from Poggen had passed away. Mayor Jerome Adlin. I just want to pay my respects to the mayor of Poggen, and it's really sad, especially since he was very vocal about how much he loves it and how much he appreciates everyone who thinks about Poggen. So just thought I'd let you guys know, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Representative Keandra McDonald. Are there any more announcements? Just another thing. We do have 2 new members, and I know some committees aren't completely full, but if you guys do want to join committees that are already taken, we can work on seeing if we can amend the rules to see if we can let you in. But there are still some committees, like the Community Service Committee, that are still open. So yeah, the chair people who are here, if you guys don't mind, just introduce yourselves to our new members and just talk about your committee, and it's all in the standing rules too. So if you guys are interested, just let anybody know. Are there any other announcements? Representative Plus.
Yeah, don't forget it's Charter Day. It's on March 14th. You guys
Cool.
come attend, and yeah, that's it. Pretty much it. Yeah.
Thank you, Representative Plus. Representative Richards.
I'd just like to announce that the Committee on Public and Municipal Affairs will be having their meeting on March 4th, Saturday. So if you have any bills that you know will be referred to our committee, please refer it before then so we can get it on for the March session. And you're welcome to come. Representative Verheeren will be taking care of the bill at Carmen's, so please come.
Not this bill, like the restaurant bill. That wasn't that funny, but okay.
Any other announcements? Representative Quintanilla, could you talk about the Decolonization Commission meeting a little bit? May you? Sorry, guys. I'll let you guys out as soon as we can. I just want to hear this before we go.
See. So on Wednesday, we had a meeting for the Decolonization Commission. Let me just run through the agenda for that day. We had welcoming new commission members. That was Senator B.J. Cruz and Vice Speaker Therese Roy. And we had an update on the youth conference on identity and political status. I have. Do you have the? I have the proposed youth conference here. I can pass that out. Anyone can. Would you like to read it? All right. It's double-sided though, so. Oh, okay. I can do that. The Committee on Decolonization website was updated, and there was discussion on Guam and CNMI reunification. That did not go very well. Also, we got an update on the governance study, which is a study that's trying to evaluate how well Guam is independently governing itself without federal influence. And it's also trying to determine what level of independence we'll have under the three status options, that being independence, statehood, and free association. The study is not yet complete, but it will be used upon completion as an argument for the individual task forces. And that is all.
All right. Just for future reference, could before next session, could you run this all by your oversight committee chairperson, Representative Keandra McDonald, so she can make the report on it?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Is there any other announcements? Seeing as there are none, we can get you guys going. Oh yeah, we also have to take the picture. So stick around, please. Could I get a motion to adjourn? Representative Makepeace.
Mr. Speaker, I make a motion to adjourn this meeting at 11:07 and reconvene on March 18th, 2017 at 9 a.m.
All right, there's been a motion to adjourn. Does anyone oppose? Seeing as there are none, the session is now adjourned.